All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Cross-Chain Insider, weekly roundup of all news traveling across chains, brought to you by LI.Fi. I'm Mark, member of the BizDev team, and someone who unironically says things like, bro, the metaverse is the future. My Geek and Brain co-host is Arjun, the jack of all trades and master of everything here at LI.Fi. He's the threador extraordinaire, research or of protocols, and the occasional member of the sales team. What's up, Arjun?
I mean, so much to go through this week. I'm excited and like just overwhelmed by the information that was there this week.
Yep. So as usual, Arjun posts this weekly newsletter Monday on Substack. So be sure to go give your email to us on Substack. It's li.fi.substack.com. You can subscribe there, but you can also just listen to this podcast and enjoy it in audio form. So the first part of the newsletter, as usual, is bridging updates. So Arjun, what you got for us?
Yeah, so let's start with the biggest news of this week, and I think the most unfortunate news as well. There was another bridge hack. So Horizon Bridge, Harmony's native or official bridge, was exploited for $100 million. Again, like unfortunately, a private key hack. So the private keys of the bridge validators were compromised, leading to the breach, and funds were stolen from the Ethereum side of the Horizon bridge. So the hacker basically swapped four assets: BUSD, USDC, ETH, and wrapped Bitcoin. 100 million worth of these assets were swapped for like Ethereum, and the funds they currently reside on the hacker's accounts on the Ethereum network. And in the last few hours itself, the hacker like started moving funds through Tornado Cash. So the Harmony team, they've like begun working with national authorities, forensic specialists, and they're working actively to identify the culprit and retrieve the stolen funds. They've also offered a 1 million bounty to the hackers, but I don't know if that's gonna be enough, right? 1% of the bounty basically. Plus, they have also migrated the Ethereum side of the bridge to a 4 of 5 multisig since the incident, but it's still a 4 of 5 validator set. Mark, do you have any views on this?
We'll talk about it more during what's poppin'. How about
Yeah,
that?
for sure, for sure. Yeah, so let's move on to the next one. So Synapse, they integrated Klaytn blockchain. So Klaytn is a public blockchain focused on the metaverse, GameFi, and the creator economy. So the launch will basically allow users to bridge assets between Klaytn and all the Synapse supported blockchains. So Synapse will support bridging for USDC, USDT, DAI, ETH, and Wrapped Bitcoin between Klaytn and other chains. And when the Clap Finance, it's an application on Klaytn, it launches, users will be able to start using this bridge. Next one is it's kind of interesting. LI.FI's lizard token. Not sure what's going on there. Probably someone else from the team can give more information. But basically, what happened was people found a repository on our GitHub. The repository is called Lizard Token. So I'm hoping there's like more information in the coming week. But I don't think we have more information right now.
We know nothing.
Okay, that also shows we're not important enough in the company. But
Very true.
yeah, so next one, Bioeconomy's Hyphen has now added support for Optimism, and yeah, so users can now use Hyphen to bridge to Optimism, and LPs can start earning an APY for adding ETH or USDC to Optimism. So yeah, go check out Bioeconomy's Hyphen bridge and start bridging to Optimism. Another one coming out of like a hack news is Ronin Bridge. They're reopening on June 20th, and so reopening will require basically a hard fork, which means all validators must update their softwares. Users have been refunded, or the funds have been returned to the users, and they've also beefed up their security, like added more validators, but no change in designs again. So seems to be a common theme. Like whenever there's a validator set hacked, projects are going for like adding more validators instead of like changing the bridge design. Okay, last news: on-chain Polygon and Solana transactions are now available on Coinbase. So this makes it easier and cheaper for users to send and receive uh, ETH, Matic, and USDC on Polygon and USDC on Solana. So users can directly make on-chain transactions through Coinbase. I don't have a Coinbase account. Like, have you tried this out?
Yes, so I do have a Coinbase account,
Mhm.
and this will be such an upgrade
Mhm.
because using L2s through centralized exchange has been such a headache for me. And so this would just be super nice. Though it's not like I really use a centralized exchange that much. If this was like 2 years ago, this would have been like the best upgrade ever. But like
Like,
at
how
this
do you
point, it's
how do you make
expected.
a transaction on-chain through Coinbase?
Um, so they have. I have not tested out the
Mhm.
Polygon application yet, but I do know that they just announced that like they're going to be offering DeFi
Okay,
like
okay.
interactions
So
on their
basically,
actual
like
app.
much easier for not so sophisticated users. No?
Yeah. So they're doing a thing. They're actually doing like
Correct. Yeah.
NPC wallets and stuff
Mhm.
to do, but I'm not sure what that has to do with the Polygon and
Mhm.
Solana upgrade.
Mhm.
I haven't tested it out. I'll go test it out. Hey, I'll go test it out next week, and then I'll come back and I'll give the review to
Yeah,
the
for
people.
sure.
It's what the people want, right? Okay, so moving on to the next section of the podcast, that was the bridging updates. And so now we'll go to the multi-chain ecosystem updates. And my goodness, Arjun, this was a lot.
It was a week of exploits.
Like it was a week of exploits and then some huge news from, a certain derivative platform. Um, that like it's just kind of hard to even wrap your mind around all the stuff that happened. So
Mhm.
we'll start with kind of one of the smaller exploits of the week, where we had inverse finance, which is a lending protocol. Their Oracle price for an asset was manipulated and resulted in the loss of $5.83 million in DOLA, DOLA. And so this is just another example of an interesting, they call it an exploit, but it's not really like a smart contract bug. It's a different part of the system that is being attacked. It's the actual Oracle, um, and I don't really love that trend.
Mhm.
Maybe this is a weird take, but I kind of like smart contract bugs because at least you can just go back and be like, okay, this is what was wrong with the actual code, right?
Mhm.
But Oracle price manipulation just kind of makes it feel a little bit different because that is more of a like bigger issue overall.
Yeah, it's kind of also a design issue. Like everything
Yeah.
runs through like oracles, right? So it's a much bigger problem to probably address later.
It's a really bad reminder of how much we rely on outside data in the smart contract world.
Mhm.
Um, and so inverse finance. That's the update. Next, we have another day, another Depeg, USDD. Tron DAO's algo stablecoin has depegged. It was trading around 96 to 97 cents earlier last week. I think it dropped further than that at a certain point. It's the same mechanism essentially as UST, though I do believe that the Tron DAO is over collateralized technically,
Yeah, they changed
but
like midway after the
it right. It was
collapse
an
of
algo
Tether.
stable, and now it's technically um, a little bit more like DAI, I believe. I can't say I'm an expert on how USDD works, but um, we have another DPEG. It's been 2022. We thought it was going to be L2 2022, but instead it's DPEG 2022.
Stablecoin wars this year.
Yeah, stablecoin wars, but like not in a fun way at all. Next, we have this was probably my favorite piece of news from the week, just because it was so surprising. I had never even considered that this would be a headline for us. But Uniswap acquired Genie, an NFT marketplace aggregator, to expand its product offering to include both ERC20s and NFTs. So this means Uniswap will soon enable buying and selling NFTs on its interface. This is pretty cool. People will now be able to go to Uniswap. you can trade whatever tokens you want and then go buy an NFT with those tokens. Or you'll probably have to still buy them in ETH, but you can take any token you want, go swap it on Uniswap, and then buy a token. I mean, Arjun, can you think of any protocol that they should like partner with to make that flow even better? I can't imagine. What
I
do you
think you
think?
can.
Interesting. It's almost like you could do that. Plus, you can add a bridging
Mhm.
interaction in there,
Yeah,
and it's just beautiful. But you know, Uniswap, if anyone's
it's
listening,
yeah. It's probably to do
my,
something with like where the podcast is hosted, like something
maybe
similar. Correct.
maybe that could be it. So anyone
But I
from
think like
Uniswap,
this was super interesting because this is the first time there was a USDC airdrop promised because there's no token. Right?
correct. I can't wait to see how their user interface is going to look.
Mhm.
Just because like I think Uniswap, I mean Uniswap pioneered the swap interface. Like that's why Uniswap was so cool because like for the first time, it actually was pretty simple to go connect your wallet, swap. Like even my dad has done a Uniswap transaction, right? Like it's like you don't have to be very technical to do it. So if they're gonna make NFT purchases super simple, I'm here for it because I love when people buy NFTs.
Mhm.
Next is okay. So the Uniswap news was like my like favorite, but this is probably the biggest news of the week, which is that dYdX v4 will be developed as a standalone Cosmos-based blockchain on Cosmos SDK. Arjun, what do you think about this?
I think so. I was like listening to a few things, and the founder of dYdX is basically a dYdX maxi and doesn't really care about which chain the product is hosted on. So whichever chain like benefits them, benefits their vision, fits their vision properly, they will go for it. So earlier, like initially they were on Ethereum, then they moved to L2, then now they're planning to move to Cosmos, and like the move to Cosmos seems to be for like decentralization, and I think like according to them, that's not something that they can achieve properly based on the current L2 mechanism because the sequencer is not decentralized or just some bottlenecks that they can probably tackle better if they have their own chain and the dYdX token can basically be the token of the chain. But again, that's like you're going away from Ethereum security to having your own chain, which is like I don't know if that's the best move, but I think if decentralization is the goal and if they have a process or like a mechanism in mind, that's what they should do. So they're dYdX maxis.
I'm a big fan of this move just because I mean I'm a fan of the multi-chain future, and I'm just gonna be I'm very interested to see if they can get people to go use Cosmos,
Mhm.
just because that's gonna be a little bit out there for a lot of people. But second of all, I can't wait to see how they port over liquidity from V3 to V4. Like I think we could see a lot of people trying to bridge from Ethereum to Cosmos
Mhm.
because of this. And I don't think there's really one great bridge who's like come out and been like, this is the best way to go from Ethereum to Cosmos. And I think that problem needs to be solved before dYdX
I
launches.
think that problem will be solved because that's like dYdX's problem, right? But the problem of users is much bigger because using anything on Ethereum is much simpler at this point. Like anyone can, almost everyone has a MetaMask wallet. They can just plug into any application on Ethereum. But using a standalone Cosmos chain, that's something we would consider to be an intermediate level uh, move, right?
Maybe I have to say I love Kepler. Like
Yeah,
I think it's maybe one of
but
the better wallets. So I think I do think that dYdX is made. I cannot wait to see what the reception is.
but like having said that, I guess anyone who's using a derivative trading protocol probably knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
so, so
Exactly.
yeah.
And I was thinking like one of the big problems with Cosmos right now is that they had originally planned to use UST as their stablecoin.
Mhm.
And like I don't really think that dYdX is really stablecoin heavy
Mhm. I mean, if they are, they can use
platform.
USDD next, probably.
Exactly. Okay, next bullet point. is we have Solana is going mobile with the SMS Solana mobile stack. And so right now, the Solana mobile stack is a crypto layer built on Android to make the mobile Web3 user experience seamless, which is big news because right now the crypto mobile experience is anything but seamless. It is actually terrible.
Mm.
And so the Solana mobile stack will include Solana Pay for Android. You'll have a decentralized dApp store, and then you'll have a C vault built into the secure hardware. So I'm excited about this. I'm tempted to grab a phone, get on the wait list, but it's a bear market, so I don't know if I can afford it.
I'm sure you can afford it, but like having a different phone just for a blockchain, again, like how many people will buy a new phone for using a blockchain? You will, of course, but for me, mobile experience is all about like reaching to the masses, right? So you would probably won't reach to the masses if you make them buy a new phone. If you enable this functionality on the same phone that they already use, probably yes, but yeah, I'll also use it, but maybe my parents probably won't.
Hey, I'm about it. I love the name Saga. Um, Look, crypto needs this.
Yeah.
UX, I believe some big Twitter person said this. They tweeted it this week. This is not my idea, but UX UI is the final frontier, right? That's like the final boss. Um, I hope that Saga ends up being the solution, right? Like I hope the phone comes out and it's just perfect and everyone is like, this is the best invention ever. But even if it's not, the fact that we like someone had to take the step first. Someone had to jump in
Correct.
and say,
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna solve this for mobile, from like Ethereum Solana perspective. And so I'm excited.
I mean,
I may,
at least someone is like thinking about it. They're already making moves to make this a possibility. So that's the great thing.
yeah. And I mean, it's totally necessary. The fact that I don't transact with crypto assets via my mobile device is a huge hindrance for me because I don't want to be taking my computer everywhere.
Mm.
If I act like in the future, if like we actually want to buy coffee with USDC, right, I'm gonna need that to work on my phone.
Yeah.
I need
It
Starbucks
it
to accept
it
it.
needs to be easier as UPI probably.
Exactly. Okay. Next story. This is kind of a sad story. Like it just kind of makes me sad. But we had two attacks on Convex and Ribbon. They were DNS attacks, which is domain name service. I believe. I'm pretty sure. I looked it up
Mhm.
earlier. It's domain name service. I don't know why
Yeah.
I acted like I didn't know. Where the hackers hijacked the domain of both projects and attempted to phish users to approve malicious smart contracts. So what that means is that convexfinance.com was like taken over by some bad guys and that was prompting users to sign transactions that would essentially drain their wallet. This is another one of those hacks that was not really a blockchain hack. It was like kind of a Web 2 snafu, which led to people getting their wallets drained. And so Convex and Ribbon, I believe they were both using the same service,
Yeah, I
maybe.
think so. But the thing is like it's just another way of attacking a project, which is kind of unfortunate because it's not even in their control in a way. And
It's not in their control. It does show that we need Web3 native front ends and domains, and like we need to build everything from scratch. We can't be using these Web2 crutches. Actually, I mean we have to right now.
Mhm.
But over the next 5 years, we need to figure out maybe a better way to
I
host this
mean,
type of
maybe
stuff.
that's why it's probably not the new internet. It's just something built on the internet at the moment.
Yep. Um, but I don't believe these were big hacks. They caught them early,
Mm.
from what I read, and so good job. I love the communication from both teams. They were honest. They got out in front of it, and I think so. Convex said 5 addresses seemed to approve malicious contracts, and then Ribbon said 2, which I mean
Mm.
we've seen much worse.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last bit of multi-chain ecosystem news is that Tether launched a token pegged to the British pound sterling. This is, I guess, huge news for some people.
It's like
I don't.
Eurocoins competition.
Yeah, so Circle, which launched USDC, launched a Euro stablecoin last week or so. So this is maybe Tether trying to get into the game. I think the more interesting Tether story this week is they've been handling a lot of redemptions and handling them well, it seems. And
I'm just
the
waiting for the day we have Indian rupee stablecoin.
ooh, yeah, I'll
But
let you
probably
take that bullet point.
I won't use it, so it's fine. I still use
Yeah,
USDC.
I'm waiting for the sad day when we get a CBDC and then we have to deal with that. But we can move on from that dystopian future. Okay, so that's we did bridging, we did the multi-chain ecosystem.
It's
Now
time
we are
for What's
talking.
Popping. And this week's
Oh,
What's Popping was written by you.
you
It's your
front ran me
story.
there.
Yeah, it's
I
your
know.
story.
So listeners, Arjun always writes what's popping. But this week I took one. I came out of a newsletter retirement. I wanted to see if my fingers could still work, and I wrote it.
I mean, I passed
Arjun
on
also,
my responsibilities to someone better, so I did a good job there.
anyways, all I wrote, I kept it short and simple. Because you don't want me to make like jokes when I write; it can get bad. But Horizon Bridge, we kind of talked about this earlier, was lost pretty much $100 million to hack on Thursday. As we discussed, it was not really a smart contract or crypto native hack. It was someone got access to the private keys of a system that really only needed 2 signatures out of 5 to approve it. The Army team has yet to come out with a postmortem, so I'm not going to talk specifically about how this happened yet or about their multi-sig setup, just because I don't want to spread any false news, even though there was a bunch of theories on Twitter, which, based on the researchers that were writing the threads, I would assume it was pretty good stuff. But what I did want to talk about is, first of all, the $1 million bounty for $100 million hack is way too low. Like, that's not going to get the hackers' attention. I think that needs to be bumped up to 10 million if you really want the funds back.
Yeah,
Second
probably.
of all, according to data collected from Rect, the hack is now the 10th largest in crypto history, which, like, let's just take a step back, guys. We've now experienced 10 $100 million hacks in like the last 2 years.
And how many
10.
of those are bridge hacks?
Dude, it's getting sad. This is the 4th bridge hack in the top 10. Okay. And it's like magnitude smaller. So it's the 4th largest. You have Ronin, which is about to go live again at 624 million. You have Poly Network, 611 million, and Wormhole for 326 million. This is a major issue.
Poly
And
Network feels like so long ago now that no
I
one even
know, right?
remembers the details.
No one remembers the details. I have to say, Ronin can't be feeling great about launching again, like on the heels of another multi-sig based bridge.
They're launching today,
Hopefully.
right?
Yeah, they're launching
Yeah.
today. Um, to me, what this shows is like we need to rethink multi-sigs, in my opinion. Like, if we're going multi-sig, let's make it let's have a bare minimum of 10 people on a multi-sig. Let's not go single digits
I mean,
signing.
Ronin had 9. So are you saying if they had 10, they would have been safe?
I'm not saying 10's the magic number. I just like it just feels pretty silly to me reading postmortems and it being like we had single digit signers protecting millions and millions of dollars of value. That being said, again, Harmony responded quickly. It seems like they are working hard to make this right. This is not an easy thing to do, making bridges secure. And so I do not want this to sound like we are coming at Harmony or any of these other bridging platforms. Like, we're in the bridging space. We've experienced our own exploit, right? Like, this stuff is hard to make secure, but I do think that there are certain things that we can do to upgrade just overall in the design space. And I'll leave it at that. Do you have anything else to add on the
No, I think that's a good
Horizon
note to leave it at.
Yeah. Okay. And so we'll go to the next section. So we have interesting reads. There were a lot of good, interesting reads this week, Arjun. I was pretty excited. I felt way smarter after reading this week. So what did you learn? What did you read? And let's get to it.
Yeah, so the first one is a 26-page report, which I didn't realize like after actually like going through half of it. I was like, oh no, it's a 26-page report. I have to read it all. But yeah, I'm still halfway through it. So it's a report by Trail of Bits, and it examines like the fundamental properties of blockchains and the cybersecurity risks associated with them. So the report is called "Are Blockchains Decentralized?" And it's again it's a similar topic, right? Like decentralization, how much decentralization is good enough, or like how there are like, so these guys, they talk about how there are certain centralized elements that sneak into blockchains by design, and they've like gone into detail about everything, and they've analyzed, they found solutions as well. So if you have time and the knowledge to read like 26 read a 26-page report on decentralization in blockchains, this is a good place to start. The next one is a deep dive into IBC by the Interchain Foundation. And so they also talk about all the different interchain native products on IBC, like Osmosis. So this blog is like a deep dive about how IBC has been pushing the boundaries of composability. And yeah, like we've always seen IBC as this like interop product that's like fundamental for the Cosmos ecosystem, and this deep dive basically like gives great insights into how it works and how the Cosmos ecosystem works in general around this. So yeah, it's a good place again to, for someone like me who hasn't like yet explored the entire Cosmos ecosystem. This was a very good like information outlet. And the last one, probably the biggest one that we covered earlier as well. So it's it's like an explainer on why why dYdX decided to move to Cosmos. And this is just like a blog that's like give reasons for moving to Cosmos, and all the details on why dYdX chose Cosmos, what it means for them, what could be the logic behind it. So this is from a team that's building on Cosmos. So it's good to see, like it kind of shows like why they are also building on Cosmos. So if you're interested again, like in Cosmos, why projects have decided to migrate to Cosmos, this is another great resource. Like I read a thread that was like that gave the analogy of how Cosmos if Cosmos was a football club, it had its biggest transfer market with all of these migrations. And yeah, all of this information is like very helpful for developing an opinion about the ecosystem.
Yep. And on my side, Arjun had the big brain recommended reads this week as usual because his brain is big. For the small brains out there, we had a nice Solana versus Ethereum thread, which I thought it's not a small brain thread, but it's just like, like that's a very easy topic. It's not like getting into the nitty gritty details of IBC. Anyways, it is a good thread. It talks about how Solana is going after the 1 billion user base rather than Ethereum, which seems to kind of build for the sake of building, and kind of compares and contrasts the design trade-offs for that. And interestingly enough, it's written by Nathan.eth, which is pretty, like, you don't often see anything positive said about Solana from the Ethereum space. This thread is not really that positive, because I do believe it ends with, quote, "I don't like Solana," but it does do a great job of explaining why Ethereum might need to take note of some of the design choices that Solana has made.
I think this just shows what we were talking about earlier as well. Like they're addressing a completely different market. And yeah, this thread is again like Solana versus Ethereum, but it's totally different markets that they're going after, like with mobile and everything.
100%. Next, we have a LI.FI blog post, which is Explore Celo by swapping LI.FI. So if you've been wanting to go test out Celo, you should certainly go check this blog post out. It was written by our BD savant, Jonas. You can go play around on Minto Finance. You can go take a loan out from Moola. You can do a bunch of other things on Mobius, Nomspace, and shout out Good Ghosting. Maybe we can have a blog post about good ghosting in the future.
Mhm. I mean, this
Maybe.
just shows there's so much going on, and we can't possibly be on top of everything. Like some of these applications, I was hearing about for the first time, and that's why this is a great blog because it talks about applications that you probably don't know.
Yep. And then the last recommended read of the week, which I won't go into detail of, but it is by Luke Saunders from Delphi Digital, who talks about what they're looking for when building on a new chain. And it pretty much compares and contrasts 4 different ways you can build. So you have EVM L2 on Ethereum, you have the ZK rollup on Ethereum, Cosmos, and an optimistic rollup on Celestia. If you're interested in design choices, if you are interested in where dApps are going to move next, this is the thread for you. You can find it on Arjun's Substack. It's linked there.
This thread like feels like this week's topic of discussion, doesn't it? Like
I know.
applications are moving everywhere. Where will they go?
It's a great question to ask. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the podcast here. We'll call this section the TLDR, where we share our opinion, maybe throw out a half-baked thesis. Arjun, do you have anything this week?
I think it's on similar lines to Cosmos, dYdX, and like where to build next, and how probably like bridges will play a very big part in all of this because that's how you move between chains. So it's like for a project to decide to move to a new chain, it's a big decision, and they can facilitate like all of the stuff in the back end. So let's say you were talking about how will the liquidity move from L2 to Cosmos for dYdX. So that will be taken care of by the project. So they will figure it out. But the users who are bridging, like, are they sophisticated enough yet to figure out how to move from an L2 to a individual chain on Cosmos? That's the question now, because that's like we've always been focused on bridging away from Ethereum, but bridging away from Ethereum can mean a lot of different things. Like usually it means bridging away from Ethereum to another EVM chain or like an L2. But when you switch like wallets, you switch like totally different zones of sovereignty, how they say it. It's a totally different game for users to figure out how to use it.
Yeah, and just on my part, I'll keep it short and sweet. I already kind of mentioned this earlier, but I'm just I need to go down the rabbit hole. I have a single question, which maybe I'll come back next week with the answer. But like, what is the minimum amount of signers you need in a system to be comfortable calling it decentralized or be comfortable calling it trustless? Because I don't think anyone's ever going to agree on a certain number. But I do think if we could get a range of like, okay, if you have X to Y number of signers, validators, whatever you want to call it, in a system, you can feel better sleeping at night. Because right now, I'm not sure where the line is. I don't know. I need to go do the research. I need to go see what all of these bridge mechanisms are doing. I have a rough estimate, right? But I haven't really gone deep and tried to come up with a single
I mean, we
answer.
can probably say a single digit is not it by now.
But that's just a gut feeling. Maybe there's research out there that says, 7 is enough from like
I mean
a
by like the
statistical.
hacks we've seen in the past, like two of them are at least like single digits. So
Yep. But to be fair, like that's also like you go into all of these hacks are different and there's different circumstances and like I don't know. I don't want to throw shade at anyone, but I do want to come up with an answer, at least personally, for
Mhm.
how many signers I'm comfortable with just for my own usage of bridges.
That'll be a good
And
research blog.
yeah,
I
it
read
would.
it.
We should
I
probably
read it
publish
whenever
them.
you post.
Okay, sweet. You have anything else to add before we leave?
There's so much, but we probably can't cover it all.
Yep. Okay, and with that, that's the latest episode of the Cross-Chain Insider. For more info, be sure to subscribe to the Cross-Chain Insider, the newsletter that Arjun writes that covers all the topics found on this pod. You should also check out LI.FI, LI.FI. We're building the ultimate cross-chain money Lego. And if you want to find out more about us, you can check us out on Twitter at LI.FI Protocol, LI.FI Protocol. And you can check out our Discord there. And with that, thanks for tuning in.